sports fans. Welcome to SVC Sports Weekly. I'm Mike Nosek alongside head SVC baseball coach Dave Gage, bringing you everything Mountaineer Athletics, including scores, schedules, and news. And Dave, we've got a couple things to get to this week. We'll start it off with men's volleyball. Last week, picked up a conference win at Leslie University in 3 sets, and then they unfortunately lost to Daniel Webster and defending national champion and top-ranked Springfield College. Both of those matches back on Saturday at Daniel Webster in a tri-match there. And then again, men's volleyball lost to Endicott College last night, 3-0. That game being made up from Sunday, which was made up from back on February 10th, if I'm not mistaken. So they finally got it in. Not the most ideal outcome. It kind of showed that game in, those matches last Saturday that they still have things that they need to work on if they want to win that championship.
Yeah, this team is very roller coaster-esque, to say the least. They get on a little bit of a roll, they start playing well, then they play another team, and it's like, well, is that the same team we talked about the other day? So it's exactly right. They do have a lot to work on, but I think this team has a very good coaching staff, and I'm sure they will figure it out going into another tough weekend this weekend.
And we mentioned that match against Springfield College. They played them well. They played the Pride very well. The set scores were 25-20, 25-21, and 25-21. So it's not like they said, defending national champions, top-ranked Springfield College, let's just lay over, get out of Dodge, and be done with it. They played them hard, and they match up 2 more times this season against Springfield. Soon coming in a tri-match down at Springfield, or rather in the Springfield Invitational, and then at the end of the season in the MIT Scramble. So that's, as we mentioned I think last week, a good test and a good measurement throughout the season to see if the team is maybe getting better or not. And you can use those games against good teams like that to really see your strengths and your weaknesses, what you really need to work on. And if they go out against Springfield and kind of fix the things that they didn't do so well last time, then you can start to see that progress.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. The nice thing is, and I know we've mentioned this last week's show, they do play them 2 more times, so we will be able to see what if they are getting better or where they rank up. But at the same time, what I don't understand is you play Daniel Webster, who's a conference opponent, and no slight on Daniel Webster, but they're not as good as Springfield. Springfield's number 1 for a reason. They're the best team in the country. And we actually played Springfield better than we played Daniel Webster, score-wise. I know. So this team has to become more consistent. And if they play like they did against Springfield, against a Daniel Webster or maybe an Endicott last night, I think you're seeing scores that are much different, and now our record is much different.
Exactly, and you don't want to make excuses, and you don't know exactly what happened there. The guys might have different ideas of their own. Originally, those 2 matches were scheduled for, I believe, 12 and 2 o'clock on Saturday. That time got pushed up due to the impending weather. The teams wanted to get back before all the snow fell. So it was an 11 o'clock and a 1 o'clock start. 1 hour, really that much of a difference, who knows? It's out in Nashua, New Hampshire, not the furthest trip, but certainly not in our backyard. So they had to leave early. Maybe they were tired. As you mentioned, the Springfield game was second, so they were kind of already warmed up and had maybe gotten some of those errors out of their system. Who knows? But that's absolutely a great point. And then last night, as we mentioned, that 3-0 loss to Endicott College, who currently sits on top of the conference. And again, 3-0, but the set scores were 25-20, 25-19, 25-14. So they didn't, again, roll over and just give up by any means. They were leading in all 3 of those sets early on. It's just that Endicott's block was really, really dominant.
Yeah, and I think last night was the first time I was able to see them play, and I think it was their first home game. But at times, I would have told you that our team was the better team, skill-wise. Obviously the scores, if I said it to some random person on the street, they look at the scores and say, well, you really know nothing. But, I think there were multiple times in that game where we ran off a stretch and it was like, wow, we're pretty good. But then there were other times, like you said, that they had the lead and all of a sudden Endicott came storming back. So it was just, again, consistency, and I think you're going to see that with a younger team. But at the same time, this is a team that now has a lot of sophomores too. So you're no longer freshmen. Let's get the youth out of our system and hopefully they turn it around a little bit.
Yeah, the guys will have their chance for revenge on Saturday when they visit Endicott College for a 1 p.m. match. Their only other match this week comes Friday when they host Newberry College for a 4 p.m. start. Kind of an odd time there. Newberry's got a long travel. Who knows if that's going to affect them at all. They're coming in at 3-9, 1-3 in the conference. So, they've had wins over Mount Ida, Leslie, and Albertus Magnus. So both teams are kind of, hoping to use this game as a Kickstarter to get them propelled through the bulk of this conference season and, really get them clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, this is a key game, because especially we've played Daniel Webster and Endicott, who's above us in the standings, and you're starting to get into that playoff look atmosphere, and, top 4 teams make it, and, we have beat Leslie and Regis, so this is that team that we might be battling with for that 4th seed. So Newberry is a big game on Friday night. We need a lot of fans in there.
Again, that's Newberry College coming in Friday for a 4 p.m. start. Make sure you get up here to the Mountaineer Athletic Center for that if you can. And on Saturday, they travel to Endicott College. I believe they will be running live stats. You can find the link for that on the schedule page of the men's volleyball team on svcathletics.com. Going to go over to a couple last-minute basketball notes. Obviously, the season wrapped up a couple weeks ago, which we mentioned and discussed last week. But in that show, Dave, we talked about 2 players who we kind of had an idea were going to be on the conference website for one reason or another. And surely they were. And we'll start with women's basketball, Amber Flagg, getting the conference Rookie of the Year. You didn't really want to say it and maybe jinx it or whatever. But we had this feeling when she kept getting selected as, conference Rookie of the Week, that this was, for all intents and purposes, inevitable.
Yeah, she's well deserving. 4 times this year, conference Rookie of the Week. Numbers were phenomenal: 17.6 points per game, 2.7 steals per game. Just absolutely amazing, and she's going to have a very good career. And she's only got better throughout the year.
Yeah, I think she finished 430 points in the season as a freshman. That's not bad. 17 points off the mark for the most in school history. So, see her come back maybe a little bit stronger, a little more confident, then she could far surpass that 447 for first all-time in a single season and quickly work her way up the record books in almost every category. She shot 79.5% from the free throw line. That's best ever for the school. And like I said, you can just see her, making record upon record throughout her career here.
Yeah, when her career is over, her name is going to be on the record books for a lot of different categories.
And her performance was also good enough to land her on the All-NECC second team. I actually looked up her stats for the season. Her 17.6 points per game was the second best out of any freshman across the nation.
Nice.
That's not bad.
Really good.
So congratulations again to Amber. And then we will wrap it up with men's basketball senior captain Tayshawn Johnson, a name that I'm sure people familiar to this program have heard once or twice before. Being named to the All-New England Collegiate Conference first team, he averaged a conference best 22.0 points per game when it came to conference contests. And can you even say enough about this guy?
No, absolutely not. I mean, Tayshawn was the heart and soul of the men's basketball team. And as I said on last week's show, is not only are his numbers impressive, they become more impressive for the fact that he was in everybody's scouting report to shut down. So he averaged 20 plus points per game, knowing that he was going to get the best defender every night. So, absolutely, Tayshawn absolutely deserves all these awards, and I hope to see his name on maybe an all-region team or hopefully even a little bit further than that. Time will tell, and hopefully we'll still be talking about him in a few weeks.
Be no surprise there. I think we kind of owe it to him to throw out a couple more numbers here. Again, finished with 534 points this season, an exact mirror of what he did last season. I don't know how he does that, and he actually missed the game. So, you get rid of that injury, and he gets 1 point in that game, and that would have tied for fourth for a single season. So 2 points in that game, hypothetically, of course. You can throw around all these different ideas. Had he missed 2 games, he wouldn't have hit 534. So,
right.
But still, 534 points in 2 consecutive seasons, leads the conference in scoring for 2 consecutive seasons. Finished 3rd in points for SVC all time in just 3 years. Absolutely incredible. Congratulations again to Tayshawn and all of his accomplishments as a Mountaineer. And finally, we'll wrap it up with a couple preseason polls which came out today. Softball was selected by the NECC coaches to finish 9th. And baseball, you guys were selected to finish 7th. And we'll be discussing more about that next week. Make sure you all tune in for that. We will pick Coach Gage's brain as well as softball coach Leanne Baker. Again, make sure you tune in next week to hear those discussions, see what their ideas about the season are, who the players they're expecting to come through big for them on the diamonds will be, and we'll pick their brains about all that and more. We'd like to thank you all for tuning in to SVC Sports Weekly. We hope to catch you again next week. And don't forget, men's volleyball hosts Newberry College Friday night, 4 p.m. in the Mountaineer Athletics Center. Thanks for tuning in. Go Mountaineers!